Hi folks, Roland Martin here, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk a little bit about turkey calls. Now that's because my shoulder is bad. I can't fish. My shoulder's all messed up. I got stitches all in it, and I can't fish for 2 more weeks. You know, my passion in life, my number one passion is bass fishing. And I go 3 and 4 times a week, and so I haven't gone now in a week or so. Christmas is coming up, and I'm doing some shopping. But because of my reconstruction and because of rehabilitation, I'm not fishing, I'm making turkey calls. It's a lot easier. My second greatest passion is turkey hunting. And let's talk about that a little bit. You know, you saw me making calls. Here I just made one last night, for example. Let's talk about what I got here. Okay, first of all, going back about 30 years, I met a guy by the name of Neil Cost at the National Wild Turkey Federation in Nashville, Tennessee. And Neil had made this box call. And these are the most famous box calls in the whole world. This is a Neil Cost call that costs thousands of dollars. It's personally autographed by Neil himself back when he was alive. And it talks all about where the butternut came from and talks about where the walnut came from. And so consequently, I struck up a friendship with Neil. And I said, Neil, I'd like to try making a call. So he said, okay. So I got on the phone with Neil, and I started with my first endeavor was getting some butternut from Johnny Morris's farm some 30 years ago. And in fact, I still have some of that butternut. This is some of the old butternut we cut 30 years ago off of Johnny's farm, and I still use it today. It's my number one deal. And then the cedar I got from locally in Ronnie Curry's farm, and also this walnut. The walnut was Ronnie Curry's walnut. Ronnie was Johnny Morris's roommate in college, and so we all hunted together and fished together and have a lot of good times hanging out together. But anyway, I got all this wood years ago. It's all cured out. And I tried to make a turkey call, so I called Neil Cost, and they didn't sound good. That's the original Neil. This call is worth thousands of dollars. And so the first couple calls I made sounded terrible. Now, I've now got to the point where I have now made a call that's the same size as Neil's. You notice? It's exactly the same configuration. I don't have it signed. It's exactly the same length. It's exactly the same. And listen to this. This is my call. Extremely good. So, I've mastered call making, but it's been a lot of trial and error. And here's the deal. I've made about 200 turkey calls now, the big box calls and the smaller little boat paddles as well. And out of all of these, you know, about a third of them are pretty good, about a third of them are mediocre, and about a third of them aren't very good. So I have to throw a few away. And that's because the grain is different. You take a piece of wood and you got the grain going this way, you got the grain going this way, you got the grain. So it depends on where you cut it and how you cut it, where the knots are, you know, how thick the walls are. For example, let's take this call right here. I just made this last night. This is out of poplar wood. I got this poplar. Listen to it. It's not bad, but if I want that to come down in tone, if I want the volume to come down, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go out on my sander outside, and I'm going to have to sand the side down. I'll just take it like this, and I just put it right on the sander, and just sand that down about 0.010 of an inch, and try it again. The tone will slightly go down. Here's the problem. Once you sand it, and you finally get the tone, if it ever goes too low, you're in trouble because you can't get it back again. The only thing you can do to get it back a little bit is you can take a call like this one. Here's a butternut call that I made. If I want that tone to become higher again, which I will do, I'll take my urethane. I'll put the urethane on here, and that'll bring the tone up just a little teeny bit. So there's a lot of tricks to the trade. So also, back when I first started making turkey calls, I didn't know how to waterproof them, okay? And I didn't know anything about the coverings. Like here are the paddles, like here are the walnut paddles right now. I've now found a paint that really, really, really helps. Like, for example, the paint that's on this one I made last night. See that paint? It's on a walnut striker. The paint, you don't even need chalk. You don't need chalk at this point. You can take the chalk off. Okay, that's the new kind of deal I'm doing right now. Here's another one. Here's a cedar box. The cedar is really nice. And then here's a regular butternut. Here's the regular butternut that I've had for so many years. I have the regular striker. It's just the regular deal. But listen to this one. Really good. That's just a special call. Okay, let's talk about wood for a second. Here's poplar. Here's cedar. Here's butternut. And here's walnut. Let's step over here to my wood over here. And let's talk about this. I got wood that's piled up all over the place. Now here, my butternut was right here, and I got all the butternut things right here. Right next to it, I have cedar. This is all cedar, right there. Right next to it is poplar is up here. That's all poplar, and this is all cedar again. Yeah, okay. Now some of this other wood. Here's acacia. Now acacia is from my yard. It's one of the hardest, it's from Australia. I make bowls out of it. And it's one of the hardest woods ever, but I don't like the tone. I've tried it, and I got acacia calls right here, and some of that, it didn't seem to work out too well. The other hardest wood that I've ever run across is eucalyptus. I got eucalyptus here in the yard. That is the hardest stuff. Now what I did do is I cut some eucalyptus strips right here. I had some strips of eucalyptus, and I actually made some strikers out of this eucalyptus. In fact, I got one right here. That striker is not walnut. That's the hardest wood I think I've ever dealt with. It's eucalyptus. And it has some merit. I don't know. I don't think it replaces the walnut, but it Now, when you make a call, what I try to do is make one side one sound and make the other side, in this case, a little thicker, a little higher. So the thicker the sides, the higher the pitch. The thinner the sides, the lower the pitch. So the thick side, high, the thin side, low. Anyway. Okay, here's another thing I'm doing. Look at this guy. Here's a cedar box, and I've decided to waterproof it. I mean, I'm trying all sorts of different epoxies. I'm trying different polyesters, and I'm trying to make that call completely waterproof, where I can take it out. So one of the problems with a wooden turkey call is in the high humidity and when it's raining and all, it absorbs water, and when it does, it just doesn't sound good. If you lose your tone. The wet wood doesn't do well. So if you can waterproof it somehow, and I'm working with all sorts of urethanes, and I'm working with all polyesters and all sorts of epoxies, I'm trying to get a more waterproof call that's just impervious to the weather. Well, I haven't quite got there, but I'm getting close. Okay, this one, that has that new no chalk finish. You don't need chalk on this one. That's cedar. Not bad. Higher pitch, lower pitch. Now, I started making these calls, and like I say, I've made like 200. And I've made two different series. I make the big long box like these here. These are all the standard ones that I really started working. They're all different. Every single one of them. They look the same. They all have a different tone. That one probably is not going to make it. That makes it. Okay. Certain ones good, certain ones are bad. Okay, so that's been my bread and butter, making these big Neil Cost, what they call the big boat paddle. Okay, and that's really a cool deal. And when I started doing that, I gave away about 75 of them. And I had them numbered and stuff like that. But since I started fooling with this thing, hundreds of people have called and said, I want to buy a call. I want to buy a call. The only problem is, I'm going to tell you what, folks, It took me hours just to make this one call, this one last night. I mean, I got 4 or 5 hours of sanding and doing all sorts of things and doing a finish on the thing. And okay, I can make half a dozen maybe in a day or two. But you know, for the week, I still don't have but a handful of calls. So if I sell these calls, and the only way I would do it would be a numbered edition. I'd say maybe either 250 or 500 or something like that. And I'll probably never ever get to that, but I'll start numbering these calls and do it a numbered edition. And what I'll do is I'll do like Neil did. Anybody that wants to get the call and get the signature series like this one, I'll come in like Neil did, and I'll address the person. I'll also talk about the wood and where the wood was from and the history of the wood and how the call performs, and a little bit about the history of box calls in general. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try that. If people are interested in doing it, hey, they can get in touch with me through my website. But anyway, not only do I have the butternut like that, but look at this. Here's a walnut. Let me show you a walnut. Here's a walnut. All walnut. A little bit high. I need to take that down on my sander, sand it down. Get it lower. Okay, here's a cedar. That's a standard cedar. And it's a little low, but when I do the urethane finish, it'll come up a little bit. The tone will come up just some. I haven't put any finish on that. And then here's the one I built last night, the Poplar Call, and it's not finished, and I don't have the urethane on there. And I can make that. I can sand it a little lower, a little less volume, and I'll put urethane on that, and that'll be a nice call. So basically, I have 4 different kinds of woods that I'm fooling with. Butternut being the premium, the cedar being the second, probably premium. The third would be the walnut, and the fourth, and the easiest to work with, is probably the poplar. But the poplar has a good sound. Poplar, even though it's a common wood, has a great sound. So all these 4 calls have a different sound. And let's face it, when you're talking about a big box call, I don't have the rubber bands here, but when I go hunting, I take a great biggest rubber band you can make, and I have that all secure so it doesn't rattle. So these things, I have a special big case. Well, here's one of the cases right now, and I'll put the case in for the big Neil Cost call, and then I'll put it in my belt, and that's one thing. And I got 2 or 3 of these cases. I don't have cases, so if you decide to get a call, you're gonna have to get your own case. But this size call is more practical. I think people probably be more interested in this size because this is what they call the mini boat paddle right here. This is a cedar one, and it's got a walnut top, and it has a good sound. In fact, here's one that's probably the better one. It has the good no chalk finish. Listen to this. Perfect. But see, that's again, this one I probably won't sell. This one here didn't turn out too good. So I might make 10 of them, and can probably only let 4 or 5 of them go because they just don't sound right. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm going right now, making turkey calls, and kind of just checking the market to see if the people want a signature series like this. I'm telling you, if right now, if you were to go buy this Neil Cost call, I'm just going to tell you, you'd spend at least $3,500 on that call. That's how valuable it is. So these calls will have a value, and the fact that they're all hand signed and hand tuned and hand done, it's not a production machine operation, it's a hand operation. Anyway, that's where I'm going with the turkey call business, and I don't know if I'm ever going to get into it or not. I just need some direction. If y'all are interested and want a call, just get in touch with me through my internet and email me, and we'll hear from you soon. And hey, good hunting. Hey, but remember, bass fishing's still the deal. As soon as my shoulder's better, I'll be catching those big bass again. But in the meantime, I'll be making a few turkey calls. Hey, thanks for watching. Hey, hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate you guys and girls hitting the like. button as well. And hey, if you're interested in a turkey call, give me a shout. We'll see you again soon.